Still in a crisis of water, the metro's taps could run dry. The gift of the givers has been assisting communities in need there. Areas like Lovemoor Heights are now severely affected. Let's discuss the latest situation now with Luvuyo Bangani from the Joint Operations Committee in the Metro. Good afternoon, Luvuyo. Thank you very much for your time. I know there's been a lot of focus recently at the local level and national level. Recently, even the President of the Republic was on the ground in the Metro there of Nelson Mandela Bay. Is day zero looming, or are you managing?
Thank you, Dan, and good afternoon to all the viewers. Day zero is always going to be in the foreground in our life here in Nelson Mandela Bay, purely because our dams, which are mainly in the western parts of the city, are currently severely under capacity. We're looking at about 14.9% by then. This drought, which has persisted for the last 7 years, will only be broken by a heavy flood. So until that situation is resolved in terms of us receiving good rain, day zero will always be in the foreground. However, we are doing everything in our power as a municipality to avert and push back day zero, and we welcome the interventions by the Minister's office in terms of supporting the city's measures in pushing back day zero. So day zero will always be present until our dams recover fully. Until then, we're doing all that we can by then.
Okay, that then depends on nature, on the climate, whether or not a deluge will soon hit the western parts where your dams are located in the province. There are other aspects of water supply and conservation that are within your control, like, for example, managing the leaks, the water wastage that happens there. How is that project going?
So a range of interventions have taken place and have started many years ago, Braden. Just to put viewers in context, our city supply, over 60% of our supply, comes from the Orange Free State system of the Kharib Dam. That water is then treated at a plant called Nooit Gedacht, and it should supply nearly 200 million liters a day to our citizens. The western dams, which are responsible for the remainder, is where we are experiencing severe drought. So to mitigate, the city has done a few things. One of them is to build a pump station that is able to transfer water from the eastern side to the western side of the system. In July, Minister Mkhunu was here and he commissioned that plant. It's now happening and it's working. It's pumping over 30 million liters of water to the west. The city is also in the process of completing several boreholes. These boreholes will combine give us nearly 30 million liters a day. One of them is coming on stream at the end of this month. So at the end of July, the Grove borehole will come on stream and will yield about 5 million liters a day. In terms of leaks, which is a huge matter for us, then we've had a big backlog to clear, and we've cleared that backlog. In about 2 months, we've fixed over 9,000 leaks. Now we are only remaining with the daily occurrences, which range between 400 and maybe 700 a week. So we are on top of the game when it comes to water leaks. We know that water leaks are a severe drain in terms of water resources and water losses, contribute to water losses. And we're on top of that. But then, for this problem to go away, it requires one thing more than all of the other I've just explained. That is an effort to reduce water consumption. We have an allocation of 230 million liters a day. That is sufficient water for all residents. However, as I speak to you today, we are sitting at 256 million liters a day. That is nearly 30 million liters a day overuse. And it's within all of us in the city, whether we are business, we are agriculture, whether we're residents, to deal directly with the water crisis by reducing consumption significantly. That's our way out of this crisis. But then you've
got a campaign that's been running, and I've seen it on your various communication platforms as the municipality, encouraging people to use less than 50 litres a day. Now, you are currently sitting, as you've said, at over 26, you're sitting at 26 million litres a day over what you are allocated, which is at 220. Is your campaign for the residents to use less than 50 litres a day failing? And if so, why it's not succeeding? Are you going to be adopting a new tactic to encourage your residents to actually use less than 50 litres a day?
Thank you, Brother Dan. It's a multi-pronged approach. So if one looks historically at the water consumption of the city, go back 100 days. About 100 days ago, we were sitting with consumption at about nearly 300 million litres a day. Over time, with all the impact that the campaigns are making and all the water-saving initiatives that are being encouraged, we can see that the overall trend is on the way down. As I said, average consumption for the month of June was about 260 odd. So there has been a big dent in water consumption if you look at a 100-day period. However, there are other mitigations, such as Part D tariffs or tariffs for people who use over the 50 litres a day per person allocation. Those are important. We are busy installing restricted into excessive users' properties, where that will restrict the amount of water that you are able to take. We are installing meters in households and especially specifically RDP and new developments which didn't have direct connection. So the connection, the water restrictors, and the tariffs are all part and parcel of the tools that we are using to curb overuse. And as I said to you, but then the overall trend has been improving, but we need to do more.
Okay, you need to do more. Finally, as we conclude, just a quick thought, if you may, Luvuyo, before I let you go. Innovation and use of technology are some things that we are all capable of. The desalination, I mean, is it a prospect for Gqeberha?
Oh, yes, definitely. It is a prospect for Gqeberha as part of the long-term mitigation plan that we are discussing. So as part of the minister's intervention, we have a national team that's working side by side with the city. So on the 12th of August, we actually are coming together to develop a water resilience plan. That workshop, which will be facilitated by Ms. Pammy Ako, who is the chairperson of the Amatola Water Board, will start the process of looking at waterproofing the city, because droughts are occurrence that we cannot escape from. It's nature. We've got climate change, but desalination plants and other sources of water as part of waterproofing and sustainability, we're looking at those intensely. Yes, there's an expense element to it, but we know that in partnerships where business and government and civil society work together, some of these issues can be mitigated.
I guess the residents of the municipality will encourage you to make sure that the workshop on the 12th of August is more than just a talk shop, that you come out of there with a practical, implementable plan, not just another process that you'll be hamstrung by processes. Are you looking at, finally, very briefly, loosening some of the regulatory constraints that you might face if you want to go the desalination route, which is a long-term solution?
We are fortunate that, but then we are working with all sectors of government. So in our joint operations, we have the National Department of Environmental Affairs and Water Affairs. So it's a multi-stakeholder approach. So when we meet on the 12th, the major decision players or role players will be represented on the table, and we will be able to find solutions that look into what needs to be done from a regulation perspective and what needs to be done in terms of capital investment perspective.
I look forward to talking to you, hopefully, after the 12th to see what you've achieved, the outcomes, and how you're going to be implementing. We'll be asking you about specific timelines. Thank you very much, Luvuyo, there, from the Joint Operation Committee at the Nelson